As an Arctic blast grips the upper Midwest this week, plunging temperatures far below normal, social media posts and local conversations have been buzzing about an unusual and at times startling natural phenomenon, so-called exploding trees. Reports have circulated widely that the deep freeze expected across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and South Dakota might cause trees to burst open with loud cracks or pops, sounding like gunshots in the quiet of winter nights. What people are hearing and why it sounds strange. Residents in communities throughout northern states have reported hearing loud booms or sharp cracks in wooded areas as temperatures plunge. Many have taken to social platforms to describe the sounds, comparing them to fireworks, rifle shots, or distant thunder, particularly during the coldest hours before dawn. But what's actually causing these noises isn't fireworks, and it isn't an explosion in the way most people imagine. Scientists and forestry experts say the phenomenon is real, but rare, and the explanation lies in how trees naturally respond to extreme cold and rapid temperature changes. Let's understand the science of frost cracking. At the heart of this story is something known as frost cracking, a mechanical split that can develop in a tree's trunk or large limb during deep freezes. Trees contain sap, a mixture of water and organic compounds, which remains in their vascular system even after leaves fall for the winter. When temperatures drop very quickly, water inside these tissues expands as it freezes, putting tremendous pressure on the surrounding wood and bark. If the temperature falls sharply, especially below roughly -20 degrees Fahrenheit in a short period, that pressure can exceed what the tree's trunk can withstand. At that point, the wood may suddenly give way, producing a loud sound often described as an explosion or gunshot. Experts emphasize that this noise isn't the tree bursting into fragments like an overpressurized container. Rather, it's the sudden splitting of wood and bark under stress. Most often, cracks are long and vertical, extending along the trunk, and the tree remains standing afterward. This unusual discussion comes in the context of a significant polar air mass moving over the northern United States, with forecasts calling for multiple days of bitter cold and wind chills well below zero. Meteorologists and weather enthusiasts have shared graphics and forecasts showing extended sub-zero readings later this week, conditions that could, in theory, make frost cracking more likely where trees haven't acclimated. In Wisconsin, forest specialists and local reporters have been closely watching how the freeze affects trees and infrastructure. While frost cracking is a known weather-related effect, authorities note it tends to arise in specific conditions, not as a widespread and dramatic explosion event across entire forests. Another question is which trees are most affected? Not all trees are equally likely to show frost cracks. Species with thin bark, including maples, lindens, sycamores, and many fruit trees, tend to be more vulnerable when cold snaps arrive suddenly. Trees that experience stress from disease, prior injury, or fluctuating temperatures earlier in the season are also more susceptible. Despite the dramatic imagery floating around online, most experts urge calm. The loud sounds can be surprising, especially at night, but fully catastrophic explosions are extremely rare. It's more accurately described as a frost crack, one meteorologist explained, adding that the chance of widespread tree fragmentation simply due to this cold snap is low. The primary safety concern isn't the sound itself, but falling limbs or weakened trees that could pose risks if they fall near houses, vehicles, or trails. Arborists generally advise caution near older or damaged trees during extreme cold and recommend professional assessment if a large crack appears. It's worth noting that winter's deep cold can create other booming or cracking sounds that people sometimes attribute to trees. A related phenomenon called a frost quake, where saturated soil freezes rapidly and expands, fracturing rock and ground layers, can also produce loud, sudden noises. Such ground-based cracking may sometimes be confused with tree cracking. In summary, so, are trees literally exploding across the Midwest this winter? The short answer is no, at least not in the dramatic sense the term suggests. But trees can crack loudly and unexpectedly when deep freezes hit, especially under rapid temperature swings. It's a vivid reminder of how powerful and dynamic nature can be, even in the quiet stillness of a winter night.